In this video, we're going to give ourselves a bit of a reminder of some of the more common study designs in health research and the implications that they have on whether we can measure incidence or prevalence, or in some cases neither. So the first common design is cross-sectional, and this you can think of essentially as just being a survey. Okay, so this is where all the data is recorded at one point in time. All data is collected at once. Okay, and what we mean by that is both the x variable and the y variable. And I should step back and just mention I'm going to use a very generic example here, referring to x as the exposure variable, and that's recorded as just a yes/no, and y as does someone have a disease, recorded as yes/no. Okay, so here we're recording x and y at the same time. Right, so we send out a survey, we ask people, do you have the disease? They tell us yes or no. Were you exposed? Yes or no. But one kind of key point here is there's no temporality. What we mean by that is there's no time component to it. Okay, so we don't know, did the exposure come before the disease, or did the disease come before the exposure? Okay. With this sort of a design, we can only estimate prevalence. Okay. Again, prevalence being the number of people in the population that have the disease. Okay. We cannot measure incidence, which is the rate at which people are contracting the disease. The next common design used is a cohort design. Okay, and this is one where we follow people over time. Okay, so in other words, we start with the x variable. So we start by getting people who are exposed and not exposed, and then we follow them forward in time to see the outcome, right? So we get some people who are exposed, some people who aren't. We follow them forward in time, and then we see who gets the disease. Now, a quick side note, cohorts can be prospective, which is what I just kind of explained, collect people now, follow them forward, see if they get the disease, or they can be retrospective, where we're using administrative records to look back, but we look back, say at records 10 years ago, see who was exposed, who wasn't, and then, did the disease follow after that? Okay, so they can be retrospective cohorts or prospective. For the sake of this video, I'm going to mostly just refer to prospective, because those are a bit easier to think about, of collecting people who are exposed and aren't, and then looking forward to see if they get the disease. Okay. Now, with this type of study design, you can estimate incidence, okay, which is the rate at which people are contracting the disease. Okay. You cannot estimate the prevalence, right? Because you're starting with exposed and unexposed, and then you're following over time, and you're seeing what's the rate at which people are contracting the disease. And now the third kind of really common design is a case control study. And one of the key features of this is that you're sort of looking back in time. Okay, and so again here, what you do is you start with the outcome. Okay, so you might collect, say get 50 people who have the disease, 50 people who don't have the disease, and then ask about their previous exposures. Okay, so you start with the outcome, disease or not, and you ask about the x variable, about whether or not they were exposed. Now, this is quite a common study design used for rare diseases. So suppose there's some, say, disease that 1 in 1,000 people get. Okay? We don't want to do a cohort where we, say, get 2,000 people in our study, follow them for 10 years, and then after 10 years, only 1 or 2 or 3 people have the disease, right? We can't make much use of that sort of data. So we often would start with, say, getting 50 people who have the disease, 50 who don't, and then ask about previous exposures. Now, for this sort of study design, we cannot estimate prevalence, right? In that example I used, if we selected 50 people with the disease, 50 without, we've sort of artificially chosen a prevalence of 50%, but that's not really going to be an accurate representation of the population. Okay, so this design does not allow us to estimate prevalence. It also does not allow us to estimate incidence rates, right? Because again, we've chosen people who have the disease or don't. That's our starting point. So we're not able to use this data to estimate what's the rate at which people are contracting the disease. Okay, and as we move through talking about how to analyze data coming from these different designs, we'll find ways to work with case control data, but let's save that discussion for once we talk about analyzing this data. Okay, so let's take a moment now to talk about some of the measures of association we can use, again, for this type of data. Measures of association. Okay, and I'm going to use some sort of generic terminology for now, but so in general, what we're going to want to do is we want to compare. Okay, I'm going to use the term frequency. Okay, so the frequency of the disease for exposed and unexposed. Okay, now again, I intentionally use this sort of generic term frequency where we can insert the incidence of the disease, right? What's the rate at which people are getting, what's the rate at which people are getting the disease for the exposed group and the unexposed group? Or prevalence, right? What's the prevalence of the disease in the exposed and unexposed? So again, I'm using the term frequency to try and, refer to incidence or prevalence. Regardless of the measure of frequency, we're going to have two kind of common measures of association we might use. The first we call the risk difference. Okay, I'm going to abbreviate RD. And sometimes this gets referred to as attributable risk, or it goes by other names as well. You can think of this as the excess risk. And what it's going to be is the measure of the frequency of disease for the exposed, right, so the group that was exposed, minus the frequency of disease for the unexposed. Right? And so again, that's what we mean by the excess risk, right? We can see what's the frequency, how often are the exposed group getting the disease, how often are the unexposed group getting the disease, what's the difference, right? How much extra or more is there for those who are exposed? And we can also think of comparing these two, but rather than taking the difference, taking their ratio. Okay, and we'll abbreviate this RR, here risk ratio. And again, this is a ratio of the frequency of disease. Okay, so let's just write that out here. We can be looking at what's the frequency of the disease for the exposed divided by the frequency of the disease for the unexposed. Right, so again, if this came out, say, to be 2, what that's telling us is those who are exposed are getting the disease twice as often as those who aren't. Okay, and we'll see as we go through different types of study designs give us different data, which can give us measures of prevalence or measures of incidence. But regardless, the way we can try and quantify the direction and strength of that association is by looking at either the difference in prevalence of the disease for the exposed and unexposed, or the difference in the incidence rates for the exposed and unexposed, or taking the ratio, right? What's the ratio of the prevalence of disease for the exposed versus unexposed, or what's the ratio of the incidence, the rate at which they're getting the disease for the exposed and the unexposed. And now, in separate videos that follow, we'll look at exploring these measures in a bit more detail.
Thanks for watching our video. Stick around, guys, because we got lots more. Statistics is almost as beautiful as a unicorn.